To show our viewers the satellite images accessed by India Today's open source intelligence team, which show the extent of Russia's plan. Satellite imagery company Maxar has shared these images with India Today, which show a huge convoy of Russian ground forces with military vehicles moving fast towards Kyiv. The question is, will the Ukrainian capital be able to stand up or will it fall?
Day 5 of the conflict and a relentless Russia is not done yet. Ukraine says 4,500 Russian soldiers are dead in counter-offensive. But the Russian government has ordered more boots on the ground. Satellite images show fresh Russian ground troops moving towards Kyiv, the besieged capital city of Ukraine. Satellite shots show long Russian columns stretching up to 5 kilometers advancing to Kyiv. Hundreds of military vehicles, tanks, infantry units, artillery batteries, missile cells are all part of the fearsome Russian onslaught. Russia is also using dirty tricks, deploying the fearsome troops of Chechen mercenaries known for their brutality. The man entrusted to execute Putin's plans is the leader of Russia's Chechnya region, Ramzan Kadyrov. Bureau Report, India Today.
Ukrainian nationals aren't just picking up arms, they're also lining up to volunteer for the IT army that's fighting back online. It's a full-blown hybrid information war that's not just being fought on the ground, but also in cyberspace.
All-out fighting on the streets of Ukraine and off it as well. The Ukraine war has seen endless bloodshed and violence, and in a 21st century war, the battle is also in the cyberspace. Russia and Ukraine are now locked in a fierce cyber war, with hackers of both countries uniting to target the enemy. Ukraine has announced the formation of a volunteer cyber army for techies and hackers to join hands and launch a digital strike on Russia. Reportedly, over 1.75 lakh Ukrainians have signed up on a Telegram channel and multiple tasks have been handed out to them. The admin of the Telegram channel have told subscribers to target over 25 Russian government websites, including the Defense Ministry, the Kremlin account, etc. Subscribers have been told to fire denial of service attacks at Russian sector leaders' websites and even launch a digital strike on Russian news websites. The cyber war is also over YouTube to mass report Russian YouTube channels. Several countries have also offered cyber help to Ukraine, including United States. A hacking group called Anonymous has also fired an all-out cyber attack on Russia, and in this video they declared their mission of targeting Russian government websites.
And invaded Ukraine, all because Vladimir Putin wants to dominate a sovereign nation and to control Ukraine's autonomy.
What followed was a slew of Russian and even Belarus sites becoming unresponsive, courtesy an all-out hacking attack. But Russia had its own cyber arsenal out in action, with a mega information warfare led by Russian hackers allegedly targeting Ukraine's information network. Amid threats of a full-fledged blackout crippling its telecom, power and IT sector, Ukraine turned to a billionaire for help, sending an SOS to SpaceX founder Elon Musk. Elon Musk responded positively in less than 12 hours of his Starlink service for Ukraine, which operates a constellation of more than 2,000 satellites that provide internet access across the world. Musk confirmed, saying Starlink service is now active in Ukraine, adding more terminals are en route. Hybrid warfare has taken center stage now in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and both countries are trying to use all their digital resources to fire an all-out cyber strike. Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me live from the capital city of Ukraine is birthday boy Gaurav Sawant, celebrating or marking his birthday in a way that nobody would ever want, bang in the middle of a war zone. Gaurav, from all of us here at the India Today newsroom, wish you a very, very happy birthday. I hope that you stay safe and are able to capture what you've been doing as well as you have. But safety comes first, and that's my only wish for you this birthday.
Thank you very much, Rahul. The situation right now, of course, remains extremely grim here. A sea of people rushing to the central railway station here in Kyiv to leave the national capital as quickly as possible as the deadline to evacuate Kyiv approaches. And this deadline, so to say, is that Russian warning for all civilians, all non-combatants to leave Kyiv as quickly as possible. And this is actually very ominous. This is actually very scary, given what is likely to happen after tonight and in the days ahead, given the spike in tension in this region. The talks that are happening at the Belarus-Ukraine border remains to be seen whether that brings tensions down a few notches or actually leads to further escalation, because information that we are getting on ground zero, talking to whether local journalists, local channels or the local administration and the army and the militia here seems to indicate that the Russians are forming up in a big way for a bigger assault. Whether that assault is preceded by a major missile attack or an air-to-ground offensive. We've just sent a report a short while back about air raid sirens going off almost non-stop this afternoon in an effort. And is that an effort to get people to get out of Kyiv as quickly as possible? I mean, just look around, almost non-stop, a sea of people reaching here at the railway station to leave lock, stock and barrel. Some say they are leaving till the situation improves. Others say, Rahul, they are leaving for good. They are not sure when they will return. But Indians in large numbers, Indian students, Indian tech workers in large numbers trying to catch a train. Not enough seats in the trains as people try to leave. It's almost like the last flight out of Saigon. It's almost that situation in trains, that people, the army and the police with their guns are keeping people at bay. Only those the number of people who can leave on that train are restricted, and then others are being asked to wait for the next train and then leave from here, Rahul.
What do you make of the Russian army's military tactics? This is one of the world's finest armies with huge institutional memory and attack plans. And yet, 5 days in, they're not holding Kyiv, they're not being able to hold on to Kharkiv, and they're nowhere in the west. So even in the eastern parts, apart from where you were in Mariupol, where soon after you left there was a very serious invasion, the Russians haven't been able to hold territory. Is that deliberate, or do you think their battle plans aren't going as they would have hoped for?
Rahul, there does appear to be a miscalculation at some level, given the information we are getting, that the teeth attacks, the tail, the logistics tail is unable to fetch up, and Russian troops who've attacked, whether the special forces, the airborne forces, or even the armor assault that has happened, the artillery offensive that has happened, the infantry on ground hasn't been able to fetch up, neither have the logistics.
Why?
So
no, but when any army, when all these generals in Moscow would have been planning the attack, you look at the teeth-tail ratio, you look at where you need to go and attack, you look at the challenge before you, and then you plan the attack. How could accomplished generals have botched up their basic planning of the teeth-tail ratio?
Rahul, one way to look at this is also the disruptive technology being used by Ukraine. Did they not factor in unmanned combat aerial vehicles, Turkish-made kamikaze drones that are being used in this offensive? There are images that are now going viral across Ukraine of kamikaze drones being used to destroy the Russian armor assault, of Russian logistics tail, their fuel trucks being targeted. And that is why you see a lot of Russian tanks that are actually striking stranded en route. They've reached up to a point and they cannot go beyond because there is no fuel and fuel hasn't fetched up and fuel tankers are on fire en route. The sanitization of airspace for aircraft, they may have been achieved, but unmanned combat aerial vehicles, unmanned aerial vehicles, a lot of NATO help that may be coming Ukraine's way in terms of satellite imagery, helping them plan their counter-offensive better. The fact that 2014 onwards, Ukrainian army has been training with NATO forces and are actually some information subject to verification. There are mercenaries who are veterans of Afghanistan and Iraq war. They are on ground either guiding or participating in operations is what local militiamen also tell us. I happened to interview one of those US veterans, a part of the training force here initially, but that training force, does it remain a training force or is it now an operational guiding and operational force is also a big question on ground that may have had a role in stalling the swift Russian takeover of Kyiv, because Kyiv is not only being defended, Kyiv is also fighting back, except this threat that has come now, evacuate this city by late night tonight, and something else could happen, intensification of operation. Can all these groups stand up to those intensified operations, Rahul, remains the big question now.
And it also shows a massive disconnect between the men who are planning this war, because they are way too wise, and President Putin. They would have understood that if there is a pushback, you will need more troops. There is no doubt about it. Maybe they don't have their heart in the war. Maybe they're not fully aligned with President Putin. And that shows serious internal fissures inside Russia. We'll build on all of this. The nuclear deterrent forces are on a state of high alert. That adds a huge nuclear dimension to this already very volatile state of war. I'll get you more details from the India Today War Room when we come back on the other side of a quick break. Stay tuned.